Welcome to another RSR. Tonight we are recapping the results of the 2022 Scotiabank CONCACAF League preliminary round and predicting the round of 16. And I will give you my predicted quarterfinal ties by those results. Of course, I'll tell you the number of predictions I got right in the last round. I will predict the next round. You know how this goes on this channel. We'll go in order of when the tie ended for the recap, and we'll go from 1 to 8 on the predictions and 1 to 4 on telling you what ties those would be if my predictions were all correct in the next round. So, starting with preliminary round 2, Alohole of Costa Rica versus CD Aguila of El Salvador, 4-1 to Alohole. As I said, I told you Alohole would win this tie. That was my prediction. I was right. 1-0 so far in the first 6 ties of this final CONCACAF League. The thing with Alohole versus Aguila was obvious to start. Alohole is a bigger club. They're just the bigger club. And Aguila has had CONCACAF history, but Alohole has won this tournament. And I'm sure they want to come back into this final time to be bicampeonato, be the only 2-time winner. Not back-to-back. There will never be a back-to-back. Well, I mean, Comunicaciones could still win this, but, you know, the repeat champion curse, you know. I don't think things will go... They got a hard road, but then again, they could probably luck into it again. They're a very good team, but things have to go their way. The ball has to bounce their way, but enough about that. Alohole, they got embarrassed last year by Guastatoya, Landine. They got embarrassed at their own home ground. They blew it, and they got knocked out. And I don't think they want to let that be the lasting image of them in the CONCACAF League. Now, people could say, hey, they won it in 2020, but technically, Mickey Mouse Championship, every game was a one-legged tie. That's not the normal situation of this tournament. There was a preliminary round or a play-in round to qualify the other 2 teams because it was single elimination. I wish Forge beat Marathon, but whatever. Point is Alohole, they want a legit 2-legged trophy, I believe. And I think they could get it. They are a favorite. The last time they won, they came through the preliminary round against Saboda, of course. But the team Alohole they don't want people to remember they got embarrassed. And they don't want to give a new embarrassment to add on to that throughout this tournament. Alohole took this very seriously. They never gave Aguila any quarter. They treated Aguila like they were freaking an MLS team. A low-level MLS team they could beat, but an MLS team nonetheless. They treated them like this was CONCACAF Champions League, and you got to do everything right if you're a Central American team. They did not let them even have a sniff. A sniff. An away draw with an away goal, this tie was always in the hands of Alohole. And 3 more goals at Ricardo Saprissa somehow. Seriously, though, that's the only thing I don't know. Can somebody fill me in on why Alohole was playing at Saprissa? Is it because of the new stadium they're building, or they just were playing at Saprissa? That felt weird. I think it's probably because of the new stadium, but I'm not completely sure. But Alohole, 3 goals at Costa Rica, 4 goals overall. Basically had the scruff of the neck, the tie by the scruff of the neck the whole time. As I really expected it to be, 4-1, easy as you like for Alohole. They move on to the round of 16 to play Alianza round of 16-7 of Panama, not El Salvador. Preliminary round 5, Pacific FC of Canada versus Waterhouse FC of Jamaica, 6-0 to Pacific. All at Starlight Stadium in Langford, British Columbia, by the way. All 6 goals were at home. I got that tie right, 2-0 so far. Pacific, I told you this would be easy. I told you Pacific would play some beautiful football. They dominated the tie. They were the better team by far through all 180 minutes of the tie. Yes, Foster stood on his head in the first leg. Pacific should have scored a goal or 2 down in Jamaica as well. But they scored 6 great goals in Langford, British Columbia. And I told you that Pacific could have some beautiful football and they could play well. This was honestly one of the two best performances of the preliminary round. To me, Pacific made a statement. Forge never played this well in a preliminary round. They won all their ties. I wouldn't say completely easy, and they play some beautiful football, but Pacific made a statement. They made a statement. And their quartile of the bracket isn't that hard, so to speak. Herediano, if Herediano's beatable, Cardenas is even more beatable, and Real Espana, I was intrigued by the way they played, and I definitely think there could be an upset in that part of the bracket. But even then, if you beat Herediano, you'll probably beat Real Espana. It's not like you're playing Malacateco or Olympia, or even Marathon. So, Pacific's got a very easy quartile. I wouldn't say a very easy quartile of the bracket, but the draw did smile down on them. And if you do beat those teams and you go into the semifinal playing Alohole, or possibly Alianza of El Salvador, or maybe even Verdes, depending on the decision of FIFA on the Salvadoran Federation, who knows? I'm not saying it's impossible they get to the final and one up Forge. I'm not saying it's impossible. And then whatever happens on the other side of the bracket happens. I mean, Pacific got a very favorable draw, and they said they can handle it. That's what I saw here. Waterhouse wasn't no slouch either. They were good defensively. It could have been worse. They could have been a tire. They could have been 11 pylons, and it would have been worse. They were okay defensively, especially the first leg. So to keep a clean sheet over 2 legs and score 6 goals and win pretty dominantly, and could have been more, I'd say that's a statement. Pacific made a big statement, and I'm proud of them. So 2-0 so far. Now, preliminary round 4. Of course, Pacific will be playing Herediano in round of 16-5 in the round of 16. Preliminary round 4. Sporting San Miguelito of Panama versus CD Malacateco of Guatemala. 4-1 to Sporting San Miguelito. I got this one wrong. I thought Malacateco would go through. Turns out, having Champions League experience, even in the old format, still means more than having no experience. I did not follow my rule, I guess. Malacateco, new manager, not good outside of their home. Turns out they're fraudulent. Sporting San Miguelito is a damn good team. They have some good way to play football. They're a very good team. They have a very good system of tactics, and they are a strong side. They're tough. And they could score goals, too, if they want to, but they're a very tough side. And Malacateco just never could cope, especially in Panama, nonetheless. Even that first leg in Guatemala, it was like, no, doesn't look so good. Doesn't look so good. Miguelito looked better at the end of that first leg, and I should have saw it coming, but that second leg was absolutely, in Panama, was absolutely perfect for them. They deservedly go through, deservedly are the better team. They made a little bit of a statement, but they still go on and play Tauro in the round of 16. So there will be a Panamanian derby in the round of 16, number 1. But compared to Tauro, they are a smaller club. So they could get through. They know how Tauro plays. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But I got this one wrong 2 out of 3. 2-1, 2 out of 3 so far, my predictions. Next up, preliminary round 1. CD Platense of El Salvador versus Veritas FC of Belize. 2-2. Veritas moves through on away goals. I was right on this one. I told you Veritas would get through. I told you. I felt like they could, and I believed in them. And I said there could be an upset here, whether it's FIFA ruling on El Salvador's federation or they just win, and they went out there and won. Held a 0-0 at home. Go down to El Salvador and get 2 early goals and don't allow a third. And they do blow the 2-0 lead, but here's the thing, away goals. Platense would have to score a third, and they bent, but they didn't break Verdes. They got the upset, and I was a little bit on the edge of my seat. When they went up 2-0, I'm like, holy crap, they're better than I thought they were. I thought they were, if anything, going to score a goal in El Salvador. But they were up for this, and they wanted this more than anything, and they bent, but they surely didn't break. And they're through the round of 16, and I called it, luckily. I had a feeling. I believed in them. They had more experience than Platense, and I'm sure, I guess the El Salvadoran Federation thing did hang over their heads. I don't know if that's true, but, you know, think about it. It probably did. So, again, 3 out of 4, 3-1 in my preliminary round predictions. Next up, preliminary round 3, Real Espana 3, Real Esteli 1, Real Espana of Honduras versus Real Esteli 3-1 to Real Espana. They were the better team throughout the whole tie. I got this one wrong. I thought personally that Real Esteli were going to win the tie with their CONCACAF history. I thought so. But Real Espana were the tougher football team. They were the tougher team when it came to the game. They were the tougher team. They were the tougher side. They played better football over 180 minutes, both legs. They were knocking at the door. They just didn't have a battering ram. They had to find the weakest spot of the door to hit it and break it in. And when they found it, it broke. And Real Esteli they did not get the early goal at home that they needed. Because, again, Real Espana had not played a game up to the first leg. And they didn't get that goal. And that really hurt them because they were really pressing for that goal. But that was the best Real Esteli played this whole tie. Defensively, they were good at times, but then they blew up. They broke. They had the 1-1 draw until about the 60th minute, and they would have went through on away goals. And they blew it. They broke. And that's what happens when sometimes you set up to park the bus and just hope you can hold. Sometimes that's what happens. You get what you deserve. So I got that one wrong. Real Espana deservedly goes through, though, to play Cartagenas in round of 16-6, and Verdes goes on to play Alianza of El Salvador in round of 16-8, by the way. Forgot to say that. Now, finally, preliminary round 6. CSD Municipal of Guatemala versus Atltico Vega Real of the Dominican Republic. 9-0 Municipal. I got this one right. I said Municipal was going to win. And I was right. Municipal beat Vega Real worse than I thought they would. I knew this was pretty much going to be an easy win. I knew it. But then you look at the game and I'm like, okay, maybe some could go the other way. No. Municipal went and stomped on their necks and just kept stomping. It's like when you have one of those bug zapper rackets, and you just keep it on the bug and just zap it until it's smoking. That's what Municipal did to Vega Real. That's what they did. You got to make sure you just got to make sure it's dead. The bug, right? If you're making it smoke like that on a zapper. So that's basically what Municipal did. They were making sure Vega Real could not come back. And I don't blame them. They had the quality and they just overshone it. They made a statement too, but going from Vega Real to Olympia, yeah, I don't think that statement really tells you anything. They deservedly got there, but this is different gravy. You're going from like one of the worst teams in the tournament to playing one of the best, one of the favorites. Could anything happen? Yeah. Will it? I'm not so sure. There was a statement there, but is it the statement we think it is, or is it just being up to getting stomped, getting like hyped to just get stomped? I don't know, but I'm 4 out of 6 on my preliminary round predictions. Not so bad. Could have been better. But hey, sometimes the ball don't bounce your way. And now we're on to the round of 16 predictions. Starting off with round of 16-1. Tauro FC of Panama versus Sporting San Miguelito of Panama. It is a Panamanian derby. So both legs will be in Panama no matter what of this first round of 16 tie. And for me, I've got Tauro FC. I still think they're the better team. They are the bigger team in Panama. And they want to have a good CONCACAF League run before this tournament goes defunct. The last time they were in this tournament, they lost to Forge in the round of 16. Forge were the better team in Panama that night, I think. But Tauro has that on their minds, I bet. And they've been waiting for this chance to come back into the tournament and play. So, because, yeah, last year's teams were Independiente, Plaza Amador, and don't think it was Tauro. Nah, I don't think so. But Tauro, they remember that Forge game. And that's what they've been waiting to redeem themselves. And I think against their own country's team, they either really know this team or the other team really knows them and knows how to combat them. But I think Tauro has way too much quality to be surprised. You could spring a surprise on them if you're not a Panamanian team, like Forge did back in 2020, especially in a one-legged tie. That did help Forge that year, I will admit that. I don't think they would have been as close as they were had it been two-legged ties. Last year was really the year. But Tauro, over a two-legged tie against another Panamanian team who hasn't really had CONCACAF League experience against a team who's really had it. I got Tauro going to the quarterfinals. Next up, round of 16-2, FC Motagua of Honduras versus Sabao FC of the Dominican Republic. Motagua. This is one of those walkovers. Sabao, they've been in the tournament. They've been in the CCL as well. But for me, Sabao, they just don't have the quality. Motagua's been in the final for years on years on years. 2 years in a row, from 18 to 19. They missed in 2020. 2021, they were in the final. Yeah, did they bottle it all 3 times? Yeah, they did. But they were in the final. And hell, they played Olimpia in a quarterfinal, Superclásico Hondureño in 2020. And it was a one-legged tie. And honestly, it was a pretty close game. Motagua has the experience in this tournament. And then they blew it in the preliminary play-in round to Real Esteli. Oof. That was probably their worst CONCACAF League game. But Motagua, this honestly is, you could say this is their tournament. And they've been bridesmaids way too often. This is their last chance to stop that bottling and being a bridesmaid. And against a team like Sabao, I'd say expect at least a 5-0 win on aggregate. Maybe a 5-0 win in both games. I don't see Sabao really having much of a pulse in this. Motagua goes on to the quarterfinals. Round of 16-3, CD Olympia of Honduras versus CSD Municipal of Guatemala. Municipal may have beaten Vega Real 9-0. They may have. I don't think that tells you that they could even measure up to Olympia to at least keep it tight throughout 2 legs. Here's the thing about Olympia. Again, this is another redemption storyline. There's a couple of them here. There's a couple of them in this tournament. Olympia has another redemption storyline. Getting embarrassed by Ronnie Brunsvik and getting pulled out of the tournament because some idiot had to record him giving money to all the Olympia players. That's embarrassing. I don't know if it's embarrassing as Guastatoya was for Alohole, but they besmirched themselves. And this was the year after the 2020 CONCACAF Champions League, where they went to the semis. And then in 2021, the 2020 CONCACAF League, they got into the 2021 CONCACAF Champions League and have a pretty good tie against America. They do. They have a pretty good showing against America. Then, the 2021 CONCACAF League, they get besmirched. They want some redemption. And I think they're going to get it. I don't think anything is going to keep them from getting the redemption they so desperately want. And Municipal may put up a fight. It may be 3-0, 4-1, 3-1 on aggregate, but I think Municipal is going to ultimately fall to Olympia. I think that's a pretty obvious call, and I think it's a simple call. I don't think there's an upset here. Olympia goes on to the quarterfinals. Round of 16-4, Dilogo FC versus Comunicaciones FC of Guatemala, your defending CONCACAF League champions. They played this tie last year in the preliminary round. This is a rematch. I don't think anything's changed in the past year. Well, besides, Comunicaciones are the reigning CONCACAF League champions, and they knocked out Colorado and almost knocked out New York in the Champions League. Dilogo, what have you done? Nothing. I don't think this is when the repeat curse hits. If it does hit Comunicaciones, it does not hit here. They dominate this tie, even more than last year. Probably a 4-0. 5-1 win on aggregate. Probably easy as you like. Comunicaciones moves through to the quarterfinals. So that's your first half of the bracket. Now on to the other half. Round of 16-5. CS Herediano of Costa Rica versus Pacific FC of Canada. I got Pacific. Winning. I think Pacific could beat Herediano. This is not your Herediano of 2018. This is not. They're a good team, of course. In Costa Rica. They're the top 3. They're part of the big 3, but they are a distant third. They're more with Santos Tehuapoles and Cartagenes than they are Saprissa and Alajuelense. With that being said, Pacific proved they sent a message that they ain't scared of nobody. And I think the way Pacific plays is an absolute perfect way to go after Herediano. And as you can see, if you play open football against Costa Rican teams, as Forge did last year against Santos Tehuapoles, you could easily. I'm not saying it's going to go perfectly. It did not for Forge, but they came back and won, as they did in the second leg at home at Tim Hortons Field. Pacific plays with even more reckless abandon. I think they could easily, and Herediano, right now, I think Santos Tehuapoles played that style that Forge plays perfectly. Herediano, on the other hand, they are what they are. They're more like Alajuelense and Saprissa. They play more of the classic Costa Rican style. And Pacific could easily break that down. And honestly, I think it's a good matchup for Pacific. And I think they win. I think Pacific wins. I think they show out. 3-2 on aggregate, probably. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not going to be completely obvious, but I say 3-2 on aggregate. Pacific does enough in the first leg at Starlight Stadium to all they have to do is draw in Costa Rica, and they do it, and they go through. That's my guess. Round of 16-6, CS Cartagenes of Costa Rica versus Real Espana of Honduras. Real Espana makes me think that this match could be the one that's an upset. But I'm not going there. I'm sticking with Cartagenes. Cartagenes wants to make a statement. This is their first time in the CONCACAF League, their first time winning Costa Rican League in 50 years. They have not won in a long time. They have not won. It was more like 60, 70, but they have not won in a long time. They've not won in like 2 or 3 generations. They want to make a statement that they can hang with the big boys. And this is a good way to start it. And Espana could beat them. They have no CONCACAF League experience, Cartagenes. But I think they really want this. They really want this. They really want to prove that they're not just a flash in the pan. This could be a time where Cartagenes comes up to wake from their sleep, so to speak. And I think they do. I think they show that they have. Cartagenes goes to the quarterfinals. Round of 16-7, Alianza FC of Panama versus LD Alajuelense of Costa Rica. If this was El Salvador, this would be a lot closer, but I think Alajuelense easily wins this tie. No question. They are a big team. They're one of the top 5 biggest teams in Central America. Alajuelense is going to beat Panamanian Alianza. We're not going to get an Alianza quarterfinal. That's for certain. Second of all, Alajuelense is probably going to win this by 3 goals, maybe 4. Alajuelense goes to the quarterfinals. And finally, round of 16-8, Alianza FC of El Salvador versus Veritas FC of Belize. Even though staring in the face of Alianza is a ban from this tournament and being kicked out, it could come down during the round of 16, and that would mean Veritas goes through. And if they technically beat Veritas, I guess that would mean Alajuelense goes straight to the semifinals, or they just let Alianza or Veritas go on anyway. I can't, in good conscience, predict Veritas to beat Alianza. I can't do it. Veritas, I could predict them to beat Platense. But in the end, I don't think Alianza cares that they're staring in the face of being banned and kicked out of the tournament. I don't think they care. I don't think they care. What I think they care about is going as far as they could go before FIFA makes that decision. And if they go on, so be it. If they get kicked out, so be it. I don't think they care that they have a chance of being kicked out. Veritas is not ready to face Alianza. This is going to go absolutely bad for Veritas very quickly, even in Belize. Just like Santos de Guapiles. The only way they go through is if they get saved by FIFA, frankly. And I don't have enough. If I knew the decision was coming in the next 3 weeks, next week or during one of the legs, I would say Veritas, but I don't know when this decision's dropping. And I'm not going to guess. So, Alianza, you're through to the quarterfinals on a technicality, I guess, in my predictions. And if you're out, I'm wrong. If you make it and at least can play one leg of the quarters, I'm right. Next up, so the predicted quarterfinal matchups of the 2022 Scotiabank CONCACAF League in my book. Quarterfinal 1, Tauro FC of Panama versus FC Motagua of Honduras. Quarterfinal 2, CD Olympia of Honduras versus Comunicaciones FC of Guatemala. Quarterfinal 3, Pacific FC of Canada versus CS Cartagenes of Costa Rica. And quarterfinal 4, El Alajuelense of Costa Rica versus Alianza FC of El Salvador. So with that being said, those are my predictions of the round of 16 and my recap of the preliminary round. Pretty long video, but you got to talk about 13 ties. It's going to take a while. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed the premiere, because I'm putting this up as a premiere. But hopefully you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, I hope you sent a super chat. If you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell your friends. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification. Once you subscribe, send super chats on the live streams or premieres in this case. Hit a comment. Send a comment. Put a comment in the comment box below. Put this in playlist. Share with friends and family. All that great stuff. I will see you tomorrow for Nashville versus Toronto FC live in RSR. I'll see you then. I'm Ryan and I'm out. Peace.